Season's greetings, friends. It is that magical, often snowy time of year where we gather with friends and family around the hearth to listen to songs and stories about the magic of Christmas time. One of those stories being that we would not have any of our modern day Christmas traditions without the Amanita, muscaria, Fly Agaric mushroom. How could this be? Well, let me tell you. As the story goes, all our Christmas traditions stem from Lapland in northern Finland, with the Sami people who live there carving out an existence in the icy north. They traditionally wear red, and their main mode of transportation is a sleigh pulled by reindeer. These being the inspiration for our red-clad Santa and his reindeer-pulled sleigh. As the end of the year approaches, Amanita muscaria mushrooms will spring up under the conifer trees that they grow in association with, being veritable presents under the tree. The reindeer will sometimes eat these mushrooms and get kind of crazed and jump and kick and give the appearance of flying reindeer. The shamans would then collect the mushrooms and hang them up in the tree to dry, to help remove some of those toxic compounds within the mushrooms, thus giving us our decorated Christmas tree. And sometimes if the weather was not permitting, they would dry the mushrooms in their socks, hanging up by the fire, thus giving us our stocking traditions. Once the mushrooms were dry, the shamans would go throughout the community and deliver the gift of the mushrooms, sometimes through the chimney or a smoke hole in the top of their structures, as they could not access the normal entryway because of all the snow. Then on the solstice, the shamans would eat the mushrooms or even drink the urine of reindeer who had eaten the mushrooms, thus having the reindeer bodies filter out the toxins for them. And then they would go on visionary flights of fancy with feelings of flying or the experience of supernatural flight. And that's how we get all our Christmas traditions. So says the Shamanic Santa Theory of Christmas. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right? It kind of like explains everything, ties it all together, right? Wrong. Everything about the Shamanic Santa theory of Christmas is pretty much garbage. It is not based in fact. In fact, the Sami people outrightly reject this theory, as they have no use for the Amanita muscaria mushroom whatsoever. There's no documentation of them ever using it. And they don't even really wear red. They traditionally wear blue outfits trimmed in red. I mean, imagine if people were making up rumors about you drinking animal pee and creating rituals out of whole cloth that has nothing to do with your actual culture. That would be very offensive, especially when, as any good reindeer herder would know, it's the reindeer who like to drink human urine and not the other way around.
Reindeer love the salt content of urine. You can always be sure of some company.
They do have a winter solstice celebration, Yule lot, where they eat lots of reindeer meat and cloudberries. Their Yuletide leading up to the feast is focused on discipline and silence. They don't make any loud noises inside or out of the house. They take care to do all the chores and the cleaning before the feast. And if you're too loud, they do have a Christmas spirit, kind of like a troll-like Krampus type creature, Yule lot style you. He will come and get you if you're too loud. He does not bring any presents. He's actually quite threatening, but they do leave out offerings of water for Yule lot Stalu and his mice. Yule lot is a more modern celebration. Deeper in the past, the Sami people would have celebrated the solstice with ritual drumming and the animal sacrifice of reindeer. They do have a history of using a fungus, but it is not the Amanita muscaria mushroom. It is the chaga fungus that they use to make drinks and start fires with. So if that's the real Sami solstice celebration, how did this other crap become popularized? Well, we have the BBC to thank for that, in particular their segment of their series Weird Nature, showing Amanita muscaria mushrooms and reindeer. This aired in 2002, and it's a great piece of video. I'll leave a link in the description box if you want to watch that. Pretty amazing footage of Amanita mushrooms and reindeer, but they played fast and loose with the facts to suit their narrative. In this segment, the BBC hints that there might be a link between the Sami shamans of the past and our modern Christmas traditions, and that was enough to get the snowball rolling, capturing the imaginations of many, and now this myth has proliferated widely. Where did the BBC source their information for this video segment? Well, it likely comes from some fringe scholarship, maybe from the book Soma, Divine Mushroom of Immortality, that came out in 1968. This book was written by a former investment banker turned amateur ethnomycologist who also runs fast and loose with the facts to suit his narrative. And what they are doing is conflating the Sami people with other northern peoples in Siberia who have been documented using the Amanita muscaria mushroom. Today there are literally thousands of videos and blog posts and articles about the Shamanic Santa theory of Christmas, and I personally think it's time that we stop with all these lies. If you were a true believer in the Shamanic Santa theory of Christmas, I'm sorry to burst that bubble for you. The true origins of our modern day Santa and reindeer are just as interesting. Our modern Santa being developed in the United States in the 1800s by authors like Washington Irving and Clement, who merged the English figure of Father Christmas with the Dutch figure of Sinterklaas. Father Christmas being the purely pagan personification of Christmas time merrymaking, and Sinterklaas being based on the 4th century St. Nicholas, known for his clandestine gift-giving, also combined with a little bit of Norse mythology, as Sinterklaas would ride from rooftop to rooftop on his flying white horse and deliver gifts down the chimney. The first mention of Santa Claus's 8 tiny reindeer comes from Clement's hugely influential poem, A Visit from St. Nicholas, first published in 1823. It's unclear where he got the inspiration for the reindeer. This could be the one grain of truth in the Shamanic Santa theory. We don't know. Could have been his own creation. What we do know for sure is that the modern flying reindeer are heavily based in Norse mythology, particularly the Norse god Odin's 8-legged flying horse Sleipnir. 8 legs, 8 reindeer. Every year, Odin and Sleipnir would go on a wild hunt, riding across the heavens. Children would leave oats and hay for Sleipnir in their socks, and overnight Odin would replace those offerings with candy and treats for the children. Why is our modern Santa exclusively depicted as wearing red and white? Not because of the Sami people, not because of the red and white Amanita muscaria mushroom, but thanks to the illustrations of Thomas Nast in Harper's Weekly magazine in the 1880s, and surely thanks to the illustrations of Haddon Sundblom for Coca-Cola in the 1930s. Here's to you, Haddon Sundblom. And here's to all of you. I hope you have a wonderful winter solstice. I'm Michael File. This has been another installment of Mushroom Journeys. I'll see you next time.